Hello there, music lovers. Thank you so much for dropping by, and I really do appreciate all the new subscribers, all the comments, all of these, and I don't care if you even do that too. Thanks for being engaged. I try to look at and respond to as many comments as I possibly can. It's getting a bit tougher because this channel is kind of growing up and blowing up, but thank you very, very much. In this video, I want to talk about the Jukebox Heroes Tour that just got kicked off a couple of nights ago. And if you couldn't guess, it's got Foreigner as the headliner, along with Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin Experience and Whitesnake. And this is a tour that covers a lot of classic rock history here. And being that there's three bands that are on this bill, you will notice that the set lists are pretty sweet. It's short, to the point, and these bands get to the meat and potatoes of their catalog, no question about it. Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin Experience kicks things off, and of course Jason Bonham is the son of the late Zeppelin drummer John Bonham, who passed away in 1980, and I guess you could say Jason is kind of carrying the torch for Led Zeppelin, since, you know, Robert Plant wants nothing to do with Zeppelin in terms of going out live. I did a whole video about that, which I'll put a link up. And yeah, Jason Bonham, I got to see him in his Zepp experience a few years ago back in Nashville a few years ago, and they were really, really good. Also got to meet Jason many, many years ago. When I was in college, I was on the concert committee. We brought the Cult in, and that was a triple bill with a band called Tora Tora, Bonham, and then of course the Cult. And I got to meet Jason then. That was on the Cult's Sonic Temple tour, so that was really, really sweet. And he's a masterful drummer. He's really, really good. He's very solid. He's the guy that you call when you need somebody in there to get the job done. Of course, he's played with Zeppelin, and he's also done work in a band called California Breed. He was in that band for about 15 minutes with Glenn Hughes, who played with David Coverdale of Whitesnake when they were in Deep Purple, and I'll get to that in a little bit. So that's the bridge between Bonham and Whitesnake. And also Bonham played recently with Sammy Hagar in a band called The Circle, and he actually was in Foreigner. And so that's Bonham's link to Foreigner. So anyway, let's talk about the set list that Jason has chosen. They kick things off with the Immigrant Song, which is a classic from Zeppelin 3. And, you know, this song is just amazing vocally. You know, Plant was just going, you know, off the charts with his vocals on this song. I really like the cover that was done not too long ago by Trent Reznor and Karen O from the Yeah Yeah Yeahs. It was for a film. I can't remember the name of it, but I'll put a link to it down below so you can check it out. As a matter of fact, in a lot of my videos, I try to put links to stuff that I talk about. You can find it downstairs, okay? Next, they do Good Times, Bad Times. Oh, I should also say this. With the Immigrant Song, a really great live version is from the How the West Was Won live set that came out. Just a killer live version of that song. I'll try to put that down below too. So yeah, Good Times, Bad Times is next. That's the first Zeppelin song from the first Zeppelin album, killer track there. Then they do The Ocean from Houses of the Holy, followed by another Houses track, Over the Hills and Far Away, which has got to be my favorite Led Zeppelin song. To me, that song has just got everything in it. And again, a great live version is on How the West Was Won. I'll try to put that below too. Okay, Whole Lotta Love is next. Of course, that's from Zeppelin 2. Great song there. They got to do that one. No Quarter from Houses of the Holy. That's more of a John Paul Jones kind of song when Zeppelin was around. You know, John Paul Jones was the bass player, also played keyboards, and that was where he really shined. Then we got Misty Mountain Hop from Zeppelin 4, and closing out the show is Stairway to Heaven. Of course, you got to do that. So looks like this set, you know, 8 songs, it's all killer. And from what I can remember, this whole experience that Jason Bonham's got is really, really cool. So sounds like a great way to open up the show. Okay, up next, we've got Whitesnake. And, you know, Whitesnake is one of these bands that kind of grew out of the ashes of Deep Purple. You may recall that David Coverdale replaced Ian Gillan in Deep Purple, and they did 3 albums. And you know what? I really do like that little phase that you don't hear much about. And I think they put out some really good stuff. when David Coverdale came into Deep Purple, Glenn Hughes, singer, bass player, also came in with him. And they kind of added this element of funk and soul into Deep Purple that wasn't there. And I really, really liked it. I thought the album that they did called Come Taste the Band, which actually was an album that did not feature Ritchie Blackmore. I thought that was a really cool album. I'll try to put something from that down below so you can listen for yourself. And Whitesnake was supposed to have a new album out this year, but it got delayed. And so they're pretty much sticking to the hits on this tour, which I guess is the overall theme. I mean, it's called the Jukebox Heroes Tour, and they didn't do that for nothing. You'll see that these bands are sticking right to the meat and potatoes of their catalog. And so Whitesnake, as a matter of fact, 6 of the 10 songs that they do are from their breakthrough 1987 self-titled album. So they kick off the show with 2 tracks from that 87 album, Bad Boys and Give Me All Your Love, 2 really cool songs. Then they do 2 from the Slide It In album, Love Ain't No Stranger and Slow and Easy. And those are 2 also really cool songs. Then there's a guitar duel, a guitar solo. You know I love those. I did a whole video about solos and should they be in shows. I'll put a link up for that. But this would basically be a solo duel between Joel Hoekstra and Reb Beach, who are currently the guitar players in Whitesnake. And then they go into Crying in the Rain, which is a song that is also on the 87 album, although it did first appear on their 82 album, Saints and Sinners. And then they do Is This Love? And I should also mention there's a drum solo. Again, love the solos. Is This Love comes after that. You may recall that. Big radio hit for them. That is a really cool song. I really do like that. It was written by John Sykes, who was in the band at that time back in 87, and he really got screwed over. He wrote some great stuff. He's a great singer and a great guitar player and a songwriter too. He helped put together that 87 album, and before the album came out, he was fired along with a lot of other guys in the band too. As a matter of fact, the videos that you see for the 87 album don't even feature the guys that played on the album. David Coverdale just decided to clear the deck before the tour started, and John Sykes is still very, very bitter about it. Doesn't even want to talk to Coverdale. So a lot of shit there. Then they do Slide It In, great track, and then Here I Go Again, which was another song that was originally on the 82 album Saints and Sinners. They reworked it to make it more hair metal friendly, and they changed the word. There was a lyric in the song originally about a hobo, and they changed it to drifter, which I thought was pretty cool. And then Still of the Night, also from the 87 album, closes out the show. So, Whitesnake delivers a solid set here. I've heard a little bit of audio from opening night. The band sounds really, really good. Coverdale, at this point, his voice is kind of rough. So if you can stand that, then it looks like you'll be in for a really cool show from Whitesnake here. And so now we get to the headliner of the show, Foreigner. And of course, these guys have a ton of hits, and they pretty much stick to the first 4 albums. And I did a whole video about Foreigner because they had just put out a symphonic album, an album with an orchestra. I didn't think it was necessary, wasn't really crazy about that. But I did a whole video. I'll put a link, you can check that out. When it comes to Foreigner, it's really just one guy, Mick Jones, the original guitar player. And of course, he's a singer, songwriter too, very important guy, but everybody else in the band is a hired hand. And so it's like we've watched Foreigner go from all the original guys slowly dwindling down to now just Mick Jones and these other dudes. They sound really, really good, especially Kelly Hansen, who's the vocalist. He's just solid. He's got a great voice. He knows how to interact with the fans and the audience. And there's no doubt about it that Kelly Hansen and the whole band put on a fantastic show. It's just fascinating how we've seen these bands kind of evolve or devolve, however you want to put it, into tribute bands, because this band has actually performed without Mick Jones. So there have been times where they were a full tribute band going out there. And it may be one day when Mick Jones is gone that Kelly Hansen leads this band into the future. But for right now, the set list looks pretty hot, and 12 songs in all. And they start off with Long Way From Home, great track from the first album. Then they do Double Vision, Head Games, always love that track. Cold as Ice, of course they got to do that. Waiting for a Girl Like You from Foreigner 4. Then they do Dirty White Boy, always did love that song, a real rockin' tune. Feels Like the First Time. So then we get to Urgent, of course, from Foreigner 4. That's a great song. Always did love that. In my opinion, that's one of the best Foreigner songs, if not the best. It just seems to have all the best that Foreigner has to offer. I like the saxophone in it, and I think it's a top track. Then they do Star Rider from the first album. That song was never a big hit. But I guess it gives a little bit of a break to Kelly Hansen as Mick Jones does some vocals on that song. And then they do Jukebox Hero from Foreigner 4. Of course, everybody knows that one. And then they come back for the encore with I Want to Know What Love Is from Agent Provocateur, which is the only track from that album played live on this tour. And then they close out the show with Hot Blooded. So there you go. I mean, each of these bands are delivering the hits on a platter. I mean, there is no excess here. These are hits, and you're going to have a whole night of them. If you love these bands, you will probably love this set. Sounds like a great night out. So what do you think? What do you think of this set? What do you think of these bands? Would you go see this show? I mean, I would. If the opportunity came up, I would go check this out. So let me know what you think. Be sure to give the video one of these. If you like it, comment, subscribe, and I will talk to you later.